In this video, I'll be talking about my high lipid panels. After I share my story, I'm going to ask you your opinion from your perspective, and I thank you in advance for your time and insight. My name is Aaron. I'm just a regular guy, husband. I got 8 kids. Okay, maybe that's not regular, but I found myself on a health journey over a year ago. I started going to the doctor and I found out that I had type 2 diabetes. I was struggling with hypertension and I had obesity, and they just wanted to put me on more and more drugs. And you know, I'm not a medical professional and I'll never claim to be. I'm trying to learn all that I can. I'm being diligent about it because I'm by nature someone who likes to learn. And I like to question like conventional wisdom, like why this, why that. I sound like a 2 or 3 year old sometimes. And it's not that I'm trying to be confrontational, or it's not that I'm like pessimistic or I just don't trust people. I just think it's not wise to just take everything that everyone says and just run with it without looking into it. And so I've really been wrestling currently with trying to make the right medical choices for my life so I can stick around for my loved ones. And that's what this health journey I've been on has always been for. It's like, I want to stick around for my loved ones. I want to stick around for myself too. I want to make sure that I'm alive and able to do the things that God wants me to do. And really, this video is just me learning and kind of talking out loud and trying to teach at the same time what I'm learning and what I'm wrestling through, honestly. So I have been keeping in touch with my doctors and listening to them. I just don't think they understand. They don't understand. Like, I went to my doctor after losing 35 pounds and they didn't even notice. And that kind of upset me. I think my doctor might care, but I don't think he has been trained a lot in nutrition. Either that or he just can't say what he thinks because for fear of losing his license or whatever. But I listened to them, but I feel like the advice they have for me is just take a pill. It's just take a pill. And I can't settle for that. I feel like I gotta try and understand why that is my only option. Why is it my only option to take a pill? Isn't there anything else I could do? And I did a video on my last lab test, my lipid panels, and they came back with a total score of 508. My doctor was like, that's the highest he's ever seen, ever. And it's like, okay, but doesn't that just mean your cholesterol is high? Sure, yes. I guess I got high or heavy cholesterol. And so it just got me thinking, okay, how do I know if it's actually high? The weight of it, I mean, the amount I have, how do I know if that's too much for my body? How do I know if the amount of cholesterol that's in my body is the wrong amount for my body? And would that change for different people? Is like high the same for all people? Is a high cholesterol for me the same as some 5-foot woman? Because I'm 6'4", man. The other question I thought was, well, do genetics play a role in anything? If they do, then what do I do? You know, I've been really paying attention to my cholesterol numbers since I got on the carnivore diet. I'm paying attention to them, and over the last year on the carnivore diet, my numbers have changed. They've changed quite a bit. And my ratios between the HDL and triglycerides have went from 9 point something. The last I saw was like a 2 point something, 2.2 or 2.4, something like that. And sure, it's not amazing, but it's way better. And I know I'm on the right track. But if anyone that's gone to their doctor, there seems like there's a big focus on the LDL cholesterol, and it's even been essentially coined the bad cholesterol, what they consider the bad cholesterol. But I know that's not the whole picture. I've been looking into cholesterol and LDL panels, and I know that's not the whole picture, but that's all they focus on. And when I told my doctor, hey, look, all these other things are getting better. They're all getting better. The LDL, sure, it's high, but the rest of my markers are also getting better. He's like, whoa, you're right. That's why he sent me to the endocrinologist. Let me try to think through this, or try to teach you this. LDL is not cholesterol. Think of it as like the bus or the dump truck that is hauling the cholesterol, right? It's holding the passengers, or it's holding the payload, and it's how heavy it is, how much of it is, they're judging how heavy the haul is. We often find in the medical system a set of standards that focus on the weight of the passengers or the payloads, but not the number of the buses and dump trucks on the street. Honestly, I could be getting this all wrong, but this is me, what I've came up with and how I'm trying to think about it. A couple weeks ago, I was at the endocrinologist and I asked him, what is the perfect LDL number? And he said, well, you know, the drug companies have changed the standards. And I'm like, okay, hey, maybe this doctor is like, he knows that drug companies are paying for these tests and these, like maybe he knows that they're paying for these studies. But he said, well, the drug companies have changed the standards and that we shouldn't get too wrapped up in the number. But he said, but they would recommend 70. I was like, okay, 70. All right, well, 433 LDL is way higher than 70. Houston, we have a problem. Then I asked him, I was like, well, our bodies make about 80% of the cholesterol. So if I consume 0 fat, my number would be dropped by like 80 points. He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, that would leave me at like 350. And I was giving him rough numbers. And I was like, okay, what is the number that doctors are like triggered to give someone a statin? And the first number I saw was 190. I was like, well, I guess that's under that. And then I just kept looking and it was like, oh yeah, there was more standards in there. And I found a thing that essentially said that the doctors are trying to prescribe it for anyone over 150. So I meet that criteria. And so I start thinking, okay, should I just take one? But I get messages like this all the time. Don't take a statin, 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 don't take a statin. So I don't know what to do. Should I just take the drugs and just see what happens? But I start going down that road and I just all of a sudden start having some hiccups. Okay, Aaron, what is your understanding of this? You know, what is your understanding of the cholesterol? One, why are my other numbers getting better on a low carb diet? And does that change anything else? And I think of it like with the buses and the dump trucks. I mean, if there are too many buses and dump trucks on the road, wouldn't that create a backup? And in this scenario that I'm coming up with, not with healthy buses and dump trucks that are full of passengers and cargo and cholesterol. It would be damaging if you had a ton, just tons of buses and dump trucks that had like no passengers and they're broken down, they're damaged and they're unoperational and they're not going anywhere and they're unable to carry passengers or cargo, pick people up or drop people off at this point and they have nowhere to go. Not only break down, but they also shrink as passengers and payloads exit the vehicle. And no one wants to ride a broken down vehicle. You might as well just walk. And I was watching a video by Dr. Boz the other day, and she was talked about these things, said a statin drug will never lower the number of broken down buses or dump trucks I have. It's never gonna lower those. It will only remove buses and dump trucks with full loads. The big fluffy LDL. Filled with lots and lots of cholesterol, 80% of it that my body made. And I keep thinking, I think the way to look at it is to ask the question, why are these buses and dump trucks breaking down in the first place? And why are they shrinking? And the reality is, from my understanding right now, it's because of sugar, excess sugar, carbohydrates, all the extra glucose in the blood glycates them, they get oxidized, they get damaged, and they get broken down. They unload their payloads, but then they're broken and they can't leave your body. And really, that's another video. But I believe sugar is the blame. Our bodies can only handle so much sugar, and we're eating way too much sugar these days. But I feel like I'm left with the question, since I'm not eating sugar and carbs, are my buses and dump trucks broken down? And I'm getting kind of weirded out by saying buses and dump trucks over and over. Do I have too many buses or do I have just full loads? But what I think I need is a particle size test. And I'm finally gonna get a particle size test coming up here. I talked to my endocrinologist. I said, I need to know if these are big, fluffy LDL particles or are they the small, damaging ones. And when I talked to my primary doctor about it, it seemed like he didn't even know what that was. That's why he sent me to the specialist. And I gotta question, like, if they're not the damaged ones, if they're the big fluffy ones, then why a statin? Is it just easy to give people a statin since it's like the #1 prescribed drug in America? It's just take this, everyone takes it. It's like, does it just give you peace of mind? Do you take it, or should I take it just so I can eat carbs? Is it something that the medical system just pushes because it's, you know, you follow the money, and since everyone's getting on them and they don't think they're gonna get sued or whatever? But I've looked at some of the potential risks of statins, like, I don't want any of those. I definitely don't want any of those if there's no proof that the LDL cholesterol in me is actually damaging me. I just want to pursue health. And the reality is the amount of cholesterol in each person, I believe, is dictated by the person. And it's not the same for all people. But what is the same for all people is that excess sugars and carbohydrates can lead to weight gain, hypertension, and diabetes, just like I got. Maybe you're more resilient than I am. You could do it for a lot longer, but probably not. There's too much of that going on in the world these days. So many people are sick and everyone's on the pills, but they're not getting better. Cutting out the carbs and the sugars has put my type 2 diabetes in remission. It's in remission. My weight is lowered by over 50 pounds. My hypertension and BP has regulated to the point it's like, it's perfect. And I'm like, it might be getting a little bit low because I'm exercising. I'm like getting so healthy. I'm left with the reality that my risk factors have dropped in the last year. But I still can't say I have no concerns, but I have found much comfort in knowing that I'm eating good nutritious food, and I'm hoping for those large, fluffy, full buses and dump trucks. Buses and dump trucks. So weird. And obviously, yeah, genetics do play a role, and it's obvious that I suffer from hypercholesterolemia. Just like my dad, he's been on statins, he said, for 20 years. Actually, because some people said I should do it, I went out and had some genetic testing to see if I have familial hypercholesterolemia. And I talked to the doctor and it came back and it said negative. I was like, oh, it's negative. But he's like, yeah, but there's still a 2 in 5 chance that you still have it because our current testing for it is limited in the knowledge of what genes to test for. I'm like, okay, so it says I don't have it, but I could have it, but it's obvious that I have some kind of hypercholesterolemia. So I guess what I'm asking is, like, if you were me, what would you do? I would love it if you just take time and write down in the comments what you would do if you were me. You think you would wrestle through in this decision making? Have you been through this? Who should I talk to? I mean, there's online doctors and stuff like that, but it gets really expensive. I've tried to send some messages to some and they're like, yeah, we'll see you in 8 months and that'll be $1,000. And I'll be like, okay, well, I guess I'll just keep eating no carbs and no sugars and run and lift weights. I say it a lot, but I just don't think normal people know what to do. Who do you trust and where do you go? Again, if you like this video, please like it. And if I've earned your subscription today, you want to watch me on my health journey, me, a father of 8 kids, and some of our adventures and stuff like that, putting videos out there of what I eat, just make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you know anyone that is struggling like I'm struggling with what to do, just share this video with them and have them send me a message or ask me questions. You can always go to thekilbylife.com and get a hold of me there. I'm doing coaching on there, and yeah, I would just love to be available to anyone who's wrestling through stuff just like I am. I'm on a health journey. I'm on a health journey. And I mean, at the end of the day, I know this. Compared to where I was 1 year ago, my life is radically changed. I will not take back anything that I've done. Kilby out.